All these people are looking for the needle in the haystack. They're trying to play the Daytons at 80-1. They're trying to play the James Madisons at 200-1. I will argue the very best value, Connecticut plus 650. My goodness. I mean, they were even money just like 3 days ago, and now they're like almost a 2-1 favorite. That was one fine wager.
This is Sharp Money with Patrick Meagher on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Whether or not people love you or hate you, Steve Fezzik, it doesn't matter. Just they want to pay attention to you, and that's what they do with professional bettor Steve Fezzik, who joins us here. Sharp Money, presented by DraftKings. I'm Patrick Meagher. Dustin Swedelson hanging out with Steve there. Pregame.com, Fezzik Sports with 2 Z's and a K on Twitter. Make sure you follow. So there's so much to do. You sent over wonderful notes. Let's first start with your day. You hit up your Uber private gym on the way over, and what was the workout?
So I met Gil Alexander over at Caesars. So Gilly always does 45 minutes on the treadmill. I break it up, so I do my cardio, and then I do my weights. Now, the experts will say lift the weights first and then do the cardio, because you don't want to be like overdo the cardio and you're kind of faint.
You can't do the weights properly.
Right, because you don't want to be tired and drop the weight on your face and kill yourself. So you're supposed to do the weights first. But I don't care because I'm getting older and the cardio is more important. So I inverted even though it's incorrect. Thoughts?
Well, you're sitting next to a workout expert there. He looks good. Dustin Swedelson's dropping pounds. Dustin, do you agree with his philosophy there?
So, yeah, my trainer's gone over this with me, not to do the cardio right before we work out. However, if you're going to do morning cardio, fasted, and there's a break, that's great, and then do the lifting later. So I kind of, 3 or 4 days a week, I split it up. I do morning cardio. I get like 2.5, 3 miles in, and then I'll lift weights for an hour and then do another 45 minutes cardio after the weights.
Incredible. Now, my idea of a break is checking the Cubs score and the White Sox score. That probably doesn't constitute a break, right? So.
My break would be from about 8 a.m. until about 5 p.m.
Speaking of a break, it looks like the White Sox might take a break all year long. How bad is this team that you get Hotlanta in your house in a god-awful weather day, 40s, miserable, and you just get worked? That's not a good look for how things are going to go in July when you have to play a team like the Braves.
No, swept by the Tigers to start for the White Sox. It just made me think of, and then we'll get into the handicapping. Where you grow up, your environment is so important. And Steve, you know this. So Steve from Ohio, I'm from Michigan, and Dustin's from New York. So the three of us spent a good 6 months locked up in the house. That's probably why we got so into sports, right? I'm reminded every day, and Steve used to live out here by the beach in Los Angeles as well. I'm reminded every day when I see kids out here, it lends itself to just being out, being healthy. Even the kids that are playing, even the grown-ups that play volleyball, Steve, maybe they go over to the pier for a beer, but it's all preceded by nonstop action on the beach and playing around and running around. Like, the environment is so important.
Yeah, this is why America's gotten so fat and out of shape, is that when I was growing up, we'd walk to school. So we'd walk the mile, we'd walk home. And so there's 2 free miles. Think about that. If we can get 4 miles in on our cardio day, we're feeling good. Well, you had to force 2 miles of walking just to get to school each and every day. And unfortunately, it's just a different world with how things are. And then after school, forget the organized sports. We just get a football, get a frisbee, get a tennis ball and wooden bats, and we'd play baseball depending upon the time of year. Nonstop, kids would always be playing.
I'd like to point out I've been fat since before it was trendy in America.
You're a trendsetter.
You're something. You're working on it. You mentioned a delayed game, the Braves at the White Sox, 6-0. Dustin and I we tried to get a run back here. We got one back with the Nats, 2-1. The Buccos up 2-1, bottom of the 4th. So we'll continue to update you there. And when you sat down, Steve, you said nothing like day baseball. And I said, you've been involved in this for so long that you're not necessarily watching for enjoyment at this point. Is baseball something? And then I want to get to the NRFI, YRFIs as far as runs in the first.
Yeah, so I love prop betting in baseball. So I made numerous bets. I bet, of course, I only talk about bets I win because I don't like talking about bets that I lose. And there was a prop, Atlanta to score first and to win the game. Double result. Atlanta to win the first 5 and win the game, and Atlanta steamed all the way minus 330. So it was just a good math play to hop on those. Atlanta to win the race to 2 runs, 3 runs, 4 runs. And I was thinking to myself, I really should play something back on the White Sox, because how can, like, in crappy weather and the fourth game of a year, can a team be that bad at home that taking plus 300 isn't a good bet? And I said, it probably isn't a good bet. The White Sox are indeed that bad. And Atlanta, of course, is a juggernaut.
Yes, no. Obviously, it's instant gratification for a lot of people in betting baseball. NRFI, YRFI, yes, no runs in the first as a season bettor. What's your take?
I think it's overrated. I think a lot of content providers love to talk about it. And let me say this. I think my buddy Jared Smith has had great success with this. So if you're totally focused on one prop, you certainly probably can beat it. Here's my problem. It's too easy to price. It's like, tell me what the first 5 inning total is, all right? And then I don't care what the game total is, just the first 5 inning. And then I can price, all things being equal, about whether the no should be a slight favorite or the yes a slight favorite. And then, of course, I can take it a step further and say, oh, well, the Dodgers have, that 1, 2, 3, Betts, Ohtani, and Freeman are so good. And you can learn, like, the top of the order versus the bottom of the order, all things being equal. Obviously, if you like the YRFI, you want good top of the orders, and you can isolate starting pitchers, and some pitchers start slower than others. But the bottom line is, I'm not going to be far off what the correct number is, just pricing the YRFI NRFI based upon the first 5 inning total. It's too easy for the odds maker. Sharp fifth grader can get a number that really isn't going to be very beatable.
When I think yes, no in the first, I always think back. Generally, if I was betting those heavily, I was chasing. You're looking to get back a loss quickly. That's what I find myself in that rut of trying to square those up early if I'm chasing. So I don't get involved regularly. Dustin, do you?
No, despite being the king of instant gratification, look, with baseball, I understand that one bad inning can just be the only time that a pitcher allows a run or two. Think about Max Scherzer. How many times or Garrett Cole allow a first inning solo home run and then it's 7 straight scoreless innings. Baseball's a weird game like that. You don't know when that run or home run's going to come. I don't want to play that with the risk in one inning in a vacuum like that to start the game.
Well, now listen, so you're talking about handicapping starting pitching, and I do agree with that there are some pitchers that lend themselves to, if you're going to get them, you're going to have to get them early.
Yeah.
And so because of that, you might have a slight value with the YRFI. I also would be remiss, I'm sure someone out there is listening, like Fezzik's an idiot. I go ahead and track the starting times, and there are some games that start during twilight or the shadows are coming across the field. It's really hard to see the ball. And the NRFI is really good in those specific instances. I'm not saying there aren't situations like that, but if you're just looking at a normal, typical game with normal pitchers, I think it's more a really fun bet to make for $10 and enjoy it than a pro bet that people are really betting a lot. And remember, you got baseball, you got nickel lines, you got you're playing into minus 105. A lot of these YRFIs are like minus 115 in each direction. Good luck beating that.
Yeah, and I'd be more enticed to have fun with it if it was a day like today where you're getting more 4th, 5th starters. 3rd, 4th, 5th starters, back-end guys who are just not, especially with bad teams. If you have an average team versus a bad team and you've got the 4th starter versus the 5th starter, you're more likely to get some runs early there.
Now, from entertainment value, anyone who watched, Patrick says, Fez doesn't watch any of the games. So, the White Sox, Patrick, had the bases loaded with 2 outs in the first inning. So talk about your ultimate NRFI YRFI sweat. What if I told you the White Sox have 2 on and 2 outs and the next batter reaches? You'd be like, or that the White Sox were going to have 3 batters reach. I think I'd be loading up on the White Sox first inning and on the YRFI, but no, they're the White Sox, so they managed to get 3 guys on base and they don't get a run.
Well, I believe the Nats are coming in today, their home opener, Dustin, off a loss at Cincinnati where they were up 2, bottom 9, bases loaded, 3-2 count, and they lost.
I believe you're correct.
I might be misremembering a little bit of the scenario, but yeah, it can all turn on a dime.
So Steve mentioned something, and I think baseball live betting is like there are certain opportunities that present themselves because of bullpens. Because some bullpens can be so bad, there are worth flyers taken on when a team is, they're facing like Philly. Alvarado is their closer. He's not meant to be a closer. And there was an opportunity yesterday. It didn't work out in my favor. I got Atlanta 5-1 in like the 7th inning. and I hoped Philly would blow that lead. They did allow a run, but Atlanta was never able to get another one. But I'm more than happy to miss on a 5-1 shot with a loaded offense like Atlanta against a bad Phillies bullpen, and I'll do it again if the opportunity shows up.
You know, I got to give credit to India for the Reds, because in that game, Patrick, so the Reds, I believe, trailed by 2 outs, nobody on, and India's, got 2 strikes on him, and he works an 11-pitch count, fouling the ball off, and it's odd when you think about it. It's totally optimal. I just need to get on base. I need to stay alive. My run means nothing. I think he did get a double, but the fact that he could foul off so many pitches and stay alive, then the next 2 guys hit bombs and the Reds win. They don't get that opportunity if India doesn't go ahead and reach base.
Thank you for that clarification. That was the scenario. As far as throughout the years, and we constantly talk about bullpens year to year, team to team. Variance is the word, obviously, but how much of your handicapping when it comes to baseball has shifted from full game to first 5?
Oh, enormous. I want to eliminate the bullpens entirely. Patrick, you know me. I'm a football guy. I'm lazy. I don't want to watch India batting in the 9th inning, and how do I do that when your man, and I'll kill his name, Scooball,
nailed it.
When he pitches, I want to play skee ball with Scooball. I want to play 5. I want to roll 5 balls down the skee ball ramp and be done and take my tickets and head to the window. I don't want to trust your Tigers and their bullpen to be good, bad, or indifferent this year. Scooball's not going to give up any runs. We're going to win, and we head on to our next game.
Now, you're talking skee ball, but if the 3 of us went to Dave & Buster's and we were playing Pop-A-Shot, Fezzik, are you good?
I am. I shoot. I grab both balls and they shoot 1-2. 1-2.
One-handed. One-handed.
Strategy.
I shoot one hand, but I grab 2 balls.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
You lean in, you get as close as possible, take down the probability, and let's go. Buckets and tickets. That's what we do, boys. We're coming back. Steve has a gripe, and it has to do with past posting. We'll discuss it next. Sharp Money. Of course, the Final Four is set for Glendale. We'll get to that in just a bit with Steve Fezzik, professional bettor, pregame.com, Fezzik Sports on Twitter. Dustin Swedelson, they're both hanging out at the D, downtown Las Vegas. But we start with Steve's Beef of the Week, $100 fine for past posting. Let's dig in.
Yeah, so
you're bitter.
Well, no, it's me. I got to pay the fine. So here's $100.
Okay.
All right. There it is.
Oh, look at him.
I did it on Twitter, so I went ahead and past posted.
Wow.
Not one, but both the games where, by the way, I'm just going to get back from my buddy Brad Powers, who still owes me $500. So Brad,
crisp.
We're going to go.
Crisp.
If you better give that back to them. Man.
The bottom line is Connecticut is a juggernaut. Patrick, before your time, Dustin, before your time, the song Convoy, all right? Late 1970s, you can query it. Convoy. We got ourselves.
Mamas and the Papas?
No, we got good, but same genre. We got ourselves a Connecticut convoy. By the time they got to Buffalo, that committee was getting smart. They brought up reinforcements from the Illinois National Guard, but we crashed the gate doing 98, 30-0 run. This team is just a convoy, this Connecticut team. They're heading south to Flagtown now, to Phoenix, like a rocket ship on rails, and nothing's going to stand in their way. And the bottom line is, hey, team has won 10 straight games in the tournament by double digits, and one place circa open 10. And I'm not saying I'm the only one paying attention, but it seemed that way. I was like, give me some of that minus 10 for the limit. Thank you very much, Jeff Benson. Not because I even liked it, but because I knew I could earn off of it. With the line sitting at 11.75. Dustin, do I get a 12.5 on Alabama, or do I have to settle for 12? What do you think?
Oh, I think it's going to keep climbing. We got plenty of time.
Oh, yeah.
Convoy.
11.5 is juiced up to 115 right now, pretty much across the market. You're going to get to 12. Will we get 12.5 and come back? That was like Neil Young. That's what Bob Dylan sitting in there for Steve Fezzik right there. That was tremendous.
You know, Neil Young is fantastic. If you ever watched my back pages, that song, it's in Madison Square Garden, and he's singing like it's the song where he goes, "But I was so much older then. I'm younger than that now." And Neil Young, I think, steals the show with all these superstars in the middle of the song. The way he sings that song, so just tremendous.
Little known fact about Neil Young, loves setting up the trains. You know, he's like a huge train guy. People are into that as a hobby. You set up the trains. And is it L'Oreal or whatever the main manufacturer of trains is? It's in Michigan. He loved it so much, he went and bought the company.
Lionel
He loves setting up trains.
my Uncle Bill, used to have a train set. I think this is a New York thing. That makes sense, right? Because you've got all the different subway stops. And so in Queens, the E and the F lines around there, and he would go ahead and in the basement, they had a big train set when I was a little kid. I loved it.
Uncle Bill. Shout to Uncle Bill on a Monday. We don't hear enough from him. Spring football. You are a football guy, so the UFL and XFL has merged the first weekend. Did you get into it? Did you take anything from it?
No, I didn't get into it. I wanted to ask you guys, was it just because there was no advertisements? The Rock wasn't talking about it? Was it because the tournament was still going on? Major League Baseball started.
It fell flat.
It didn't resonate with me. Why?
Yeah. That's the reason all of these spring football leagues fail, Steve, is we have grown up our entire existence. This is the time we kind of decompress and walk away from the game. Also, I'm offended that I'm supposed to treat an inferior product like it's equal to the NFL. It is not. It is very clearly below the minors, below college football because of all the resources college football has. Like, I understand if you want to get into it, you're so desperate for football. I understand thinking it's cool. But how many teams are like 7 or 8? Like, there's not a lot of teams in the league. It's not a good product. I don't have room in my life. You don't have room in your life to add football in the spring when there's so many other things that you can really bet on.
Oh, well, now I'm going to disagree. I think the average spring football team, if you put them up against Georgia, I think they'd punk Georgia. I think they're.
Really?
I do think that they're much better. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but think about it. It's a feeder league into the NFL, and there's only 8 teams. I don't see how an SEC team could possibly compete with a team like that. A.J. McCarron and his lovely wife.
Set the number. Set the number, Steve. Georgia versus the best version of these teams.
Now you're going to put me on the spot because I last year I had power ratings, and this year I didn't. Georgia versus an average team. I'll take an average team, and I'll lay 5.
Wow.
By the way, the rules are better, and the NFL actually stole the kickoff rule from spring football. Much better rule.
What do you think of that, the new kickoff rule?
Love it.
It's a new kickoff rule. To summarize, your kicker's on one side of the field all alone. He kicks the ball, and then the rest of your players are going to be on the opponent's 40. The blockers between the 30 and 35. On average, the ball, if you kick it in the end zone, you get the ball in the 30. On average, you're going to return the ball to just short of the 30. Love the rule because there's going to be more action, but here's the niche. There's an opportunity for 2 people out there listening. If you are a left-footed kicker that can kick a super ugly line drive corkscrew ball, that is optimal. You don't want to kick a nice, easy-to-catch ball or a high ball. You want to kick a line drive that's like gyrating and spirating like a plane about to crash because you want to make it difficult for the team to catch it, but no one can move till the ball is caught. All right? And secondly, if you actually are a scrub defender and you can somehow kick this ugly ball to the 5-yard line, think about how valuable you become. You can become the ugly duckling kicker, and you can play safety on the kickoffs as well, instead of being a little 5'7" kicker that when he sees like some monster running at him, immediately runs out of bounds. What was the Wisconsin Heisman Trophy winner used to return kicks? Ron Dane?
He returned kicks?
Yeah, I'm not trying to tackle that dude as a freshman. No. He returned kicks.
Ron Dane was he was a stud. I do agree, Dustin. I think what you were talking about is like having enough bandwidth to follow. Like once there is now professional bettors like Steve. If they find if they find an edge in spring football, they're going to attack it. But there's just so much. It is hard to get the bandwidth going for a spring league right now.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not beatable. And by the way, anytime when somebody says, "Oh, I don't play this sport because it's not beatable," well, you dump their power rating 20 points. It's like every game. MLB preseason obviously is beatable. NFL preseason beatable. The right answer is like, I just don't have time to devote to it necessarily, or I do have time. But, I mean, I'm trying to think of which sport would be like the most like unbeatable of them all. And you know what? I really think that NRFI, YRFI, I go back to, I really think a sharp 5th grader can price it such that you only have a tiny edge against it at best.
Do you believe when Vegas gets the NBA team and eventually gets the Major League Baseball team, do you think, this is a random question I've been asking everybody that lives there, do you think they'll embrace it like VGK?
Oh, no, it's baseball, and it'll be indoor baseball at that, which is gruesome. I think we're going to have a situation like we have in Miami and Tampa Bay, but the beauty is they're aware of that. So they're going to build a 26,000-seat arena, so it'll be perfectly fine. It's going to feel great. Vegas embraces the Summerlin minor league team.
Oh, yeah.
It's just you don't want a cavernous 45,000-seat stadium where the entire upper deck it has a tarp over it, right?
And they're going to build that stadium where the Trop is. Did you go say goodbye to the Trop?
So the Crackman went over there to scoop up all the jackpots that apparently they carry over to the Oyo, so he doesn't get them. Unfortunately, I was there because my take is like, oh, there's just going to be dealers that are going to be disgruntled. They might even be peaking like insurance. It's insurance. It's a good bet, guys. I take it, But they didn't even have their double deck going. It is the most depressing place in the world. So the Trop, for those who are not old, they had one of the most stellar pools with a waterfall and exotic parrots and birds. Blackjack swim up to the blackjack table in the pool. It was the place to be. 1988. It's kind of sad to see the Trop in its current condition.
When's the last time you went to a Vegas pool like the big guy, the ones that he likes? One time I was doing some sort of broadcast in Vegas, and it was topless. And I was like, where am I? This is like
Can you let me know where that is?
You know what? It was the Cosmo pool.
Oh, I think you're right about that. And
it was topless, and I was like, this is legal?
There's an adult pool and like an open pool. I think I heard that.
When's the last time you were there with bottle service there, Fez?
I saw that Lisa Ann appeared at like Sapphires for March Madness, and I was thinking to myself, because they have a pool during the summertime, so anytime Lisa Ann wants to do like a broadcast like on baseball, like doing June or July, I will make that happen.
I'm checking my phone. My girl didn't text me when she was out here, so
she's been busy.
Did she set up a fake arrest at the pool, or was she?
The irony.
She can handcuff me.
The irony for this is how the worm has turned because one of her famous movie appearances was when she was dressed as a female police officer. So now the tide has turned.
Well, we'll have to do some research after the show to corroborate on that, no doubt. When we come back, out of the pros win betting the Final Four, Fez has the answer for you. Major League Baseball is early thoughts, of course. The women's tournament, you got Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark tonight, Iowa, LSU, which we can discuss as well. Have you gotten into the women's tournament, Steve?
I'm on LSU +2.
Okay, we'll discuss why. Coming back, remember, you can find Steve, pregame.com, Fezzik Sports on Twitter. We're coming back with professional bettor Steve Fezzik next here, Sharp Money, presented by DraftKings.
My father told me that one of the most beautiful plays in baseball is the 5-4-3 double play because the execution of it, the third baseman has to field it cleanly, make a strong, accurate, somewhat lengthy throw and to first because like any shortstop can just flip it over to second baseman. So that third to second to first double play ball is really something to observe.
When we went to Cactus, we covered Cactus for a year, Dustin and I, just watching how adept these guys are, how much they practice 6-4-3, 5-4-3, and just how on point they are during practice. It fascinates you. It doesn't surprise you in a game. What happened, big guy?
I think a dribbler that wasn't fielded just led to the third run. Let me see this. Yep, dribbler up the third baseline, Lipscomb charging, and it was just hit way too slow. They were never going to get Connor Joe at first, so now it's 3-1.
So this drives me crazy. I got to go ahead and talk about this one play. So the bunt is so underutilized in baseball, and Patrick, I am so sick of like these experts like, well, it's a 98-mile-an-hour cutter, and it's impossible to bunt it, and there's no way any player can do it. They're not paying him to do that. As they say in Moneyball, he gets on base. That's what we're paying people to do. And if you got some scrub pitcher that when he's got the first baseman and the third baseman charging at him and he's 60 feet away, and yet he can put down sacrifice bunts, why can't a professional hitter learn to bunt and think about the advantages? It forces that third baseman in 20 feet, which is going to be worth an extra, 5 hits over the course of the year, just having him further up. And so, like when I see a swinging bunt like this and the guy's safe by 10 feet, why don't players learn how to bunt?
Admission. Read the book, never saw the movie. Fellas, your review, Moneyball.
The book is so and that's in most cases, but the book is so significantly better at explaining the details of what Moneyball truly is. The movie isn't even a Cliff Notes version. It's just based off that season and that team and kind of the concept, but it doesn't even show the details that went into the planning and the organization of the Moneyball A's.
No, I did not read the book. I didn't even watch all the movie.
The book is fantastic. The book's my favorite book of all time. It's so perfectly laid out, the story of Billy Beane as the GM, and then all the specific players they targeted and why and how things came to be. It's a perfect book.
This is how pros win. We'll fill in the blank with Steve Fezzik. Heading into the Final Four. UConn at 6.5 to 1. Connecticut lane 10. Got the best of it there. Purdue lane 8 with 106 Vigorish. Let's talk about those.
Yeah, so right about the end of February, I figured out that up to that point, we're not sure who the best team is, Connecticut, Houston, or Purdue, or somebody else. And then late in February, like the light bulb goes on. It's like, oh, everyone's suddenly talking about, well, Connecticut's clearly the best team. And so I'm looking, what's this? And all three of those teams that I mentioned, they're all priced like 6.5, 7 to 1. And I'm like, I don't trust Houston at all. I mean, Purdue, how can you trust them? I mean, I'm still paying people back for that bet I lost on them on the money line. But here we got Connecticut. I can trust them, and they were plus 650 on February 18th. I made that bet, so that was one of the better wagers I ever made. So they talk about how difficult it is to win in the futures market. And what's interesting is that all these people are looking for the needle in the haystack. They're trying to play the Daytons at 80 to 1. They're trying to play the James Madisons at 200 to 1. Well, I will argue the very best value, and I didn't make very many futures bets, but Connecticut plus 650, my goodness. I mean, they were even money just like 3 days ago, and now they're like almost a 2 to 1 favorite. That was one fine wager.
And you were talking during the break about just even if you bet UConn 10, even thinking about laying 11, 11.5, maybe up to 12. It's just something that's not even on your radar.
Yeah, you're going to have 4 days now, 5 days of all these experts going and telling you where there's value. And I'm going to tell you there's value opening up a sports book and getting a gaming license and booking all this action, because I think the line should be 11 to 11.5. I agree. Connecticut's not in their backyard anymore. Might be a little more difficult. And maybe if we get 12 or more, we can go ahead and bet a little bit on Alabama, or a lot on Alabama if it goes to 12.5. But when I saw that opener 10, I was like, oh, I'll just bet that. I'll earn off of it. And then if you get a 1.5 differential on a side, that's a plus EV bet. So even if I only got plus 11.5 with the minus 10, that would be a good middle to be shooting for. I'll probably keep a little more of the Connecticut, but I'm a little torn because I already got an extra position on Connecticut basically on the money line because I've got that plus 650 that I haven't taken back all the way anywhere close to it. Same with Purdue. I was like, how in the heck can Purdue open minus 8 against NC State when Duke was minus 7.5 against NC State? I mean, Purdue versus Duke, I mean, we're not even in the same universe in terms of power ratings. So, you know, and I know people, like I said, $100 fine, pass post, but people who talk about having stuff in pocket or in wallet, they don't show their tickets, which drives me crazy. And I showed my tickets. So maybe only a $40 fine since I did disclose my tickets that I bet.
Dustin, you got $60 to break them off over there. So then you'll look to come back 12.5 Alabama?
Sure. 12.5 is where I would bet it right now. Who knows? I mean, it's within the realm of possibilities. I get 12.5 reduced, but 12.5 is what I'm looking for. And then on the other game, I'm looking for a plus 10 to go ahead and play an NC State team that I think we all have to agree we got to throw the previous power ratings into the garbage can, especially this Burns cat that basically spent all January in the buffets and is actually like playing his way back into some type of playing shape. And what a joy it is to watch him play.
So, Steve, this market, because of the popularity of March Madness and the NCAA tournament, you're almost treating it like you do with the NFL, where you can bet early and then bet again late on the other side, where all college basketball season, the lines aren't up long enough for you to be able to do that.
Yeah, so it's very rare that the public moves anything, but here's a case where the public may well go ahead and actually have an influence on these lines and push, especially Connecticut. You know, it's hard to believe anyone's going to get super excited to step in front of this freight train convoy that has been the Connecticut Huskies.
Little known fact about Steve Fezzik, big buffet guy, likes them.
Yeah, like
don't you?
Yeah, the Wynn Buffet, outstanding. The Bacchanal, if you're meat lovers.
That's the one I've heard about.
At Caesars is fantastic. Although I will say, if you're not a VIP at the Bacchanal, you're waiting forever in line. So it really helps to be a VIP. There's a place, Texas de Brazil, in the little mall there on the boulevard, like right by the. It's somewhat close to the Silverton.
There's one by my house.
Yes, it's really good.
It's a Brazilian steakhouse. They just keep bringing the meat until you tap out.
My friend,
Steve just likes, like he said, I asked him during the break, does he feel like Vegas is home? You just like the action. You like everything being open. You like options. You just like the senses.
My friend A.J. Hoffman had plenty of the filet and everything else, but he had 8 lamb chops, and I equated it to. I was like, this reminds me of the fridge where they said, for the Bears, they said when he was at Clemson that he drank 32 beers once in one session, Andre the Giant-wise, after a win on Saturday. You know what he responded, Patrick? Well, that was a really big win for our program. He didn't deny it at all. Big win.
8 lamb chops.
Wade Boggs
that's all the
vibes.
chops off 2 lambs.
Yeah.
On the way out, you're on what tonight with the regional final, LSU, Iowa?
I'm on LSU +2. That's an official play. I really think this is an example of there's been so much media coverage of Iowa, and obviously the gal Caitlin Clark is a fantastic player. I'm not convinced that their team is any better, and I know this. If I was running around, filming commercials and inking myself to my choice of $2 with $3 and $5 million endorsement deals, that probably would not be conducive to me playing my very best basketball of the year. So in a game that should be pick'em, sure, give me the LSU Lady Cats, Tigers, whatever they are, +2.
Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. That's all I know. That's one of those bandwidth things where I know a couple of guys that do bet college hoops as far as the women's are concerned, and I get involved. But Steve, I frankly haven't got into it like the rest of America.
Really, you can't list the starting 5 and break it all down, and how the big girl for Iowa has left the building, and just doesn't play for them anymore, and me neither.
Well, listen. Do you feel like your energy seems, you always have great energy, but since the in shape, going to the gym, are you just flying right now?
Well, it's so much easier because I'm not up half the night handicapping all the NFL and looking at all the NFL reviews and staying up till 3 in the morning working. Absolutely.
And not sick, which we love to see. Pregame.com, you can check out Steve there. Fezzik Sports, 2 Z's and a K. Don't buy the imposters.